Welcome back to The Hook on Woodward Sports Network, Detroit's all-digital network, live from MyBookie Studios. Joining us here on the show, we have got Ed Olczyk joining us, NBC analyst, former NHL player. I was hoping that it was somebody that used to play with D-Mac. We'd hear some good stories, but no, we still hear good stories, though, Ed. We still hear some good stories. Welcome to the show, Eddie.
Good to see you, Eddie.
Thanks for having me. How's everybody doing today?
We're doing great, Eddie. You look great. How's that health? You look like a beast again.
Yeah, well, no, I don't know if I ever was a beast, but I feel very lucky and fortunate. 4 years, hard to believe I'm going on almost 4 years of being diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer back on August the 4th of 2017 at 7:07 p.m. when I got a call from my doctor after having a surgery and letting me know that I needed 6 months of chemotherapy. So proud to say I'm on the verge of 3 years of clean and clear and feeling good, and hopefully, continue to be lucky to be on this earth and be 6 feet above the grass instead of 6 feet under, and hopefully it can continue to try to spread the word about making sure that we're taking care of ourselves, even though we're all living in this worldwide pandemic and, so many things going on, is that there's also other things that we have to make sure we're taking care of ourselves. And we want to make sure that if people are raising their hand, if they're not feeling well, if they don't feel right, or if they know somebody that maybe needs to get some help in some form or fashion, is that we encourage them to get to the doctor, because even though we're living in this world, we still have to continue to live and take care of ourselves. So hopefully there's one person out there that we can inspire, and that anybody that knows my story and what I've overcome over the course of the last couple of years, and get them to a doctor and hopefully keep them away from the horrible disease of cancer. And as we all know, cancer does not discriminate. It affects everybody, and it's touched us all in some form and fashion. And hopefully people that know my story, that hopefully can inspire them to stay away from it, deal with it, or at least get through the day. And that's kind of like my goal or my mission in life now, is to make sure that people know about my story and help them along the way.
Amen. We had Dickie Vitale on last week, actually during March Madness, and he spoke, of course, for the Jimmy V Foundation. And, we had a great friend here in Detroit sports, Jamie Samuelson, and unfortunately he passed away from colon cancer as well. We want everyone to get out there and get colonoscopies. It's not 50 years old anymore. I think you should start them way earlier than that. But we are on board, Eddie, and we're proud and have you doing what you're doing and picking those winners for the Derby as well. It's coming.
Yeah, that's right around the corner. That's for sure. Yeah, and just for the record, since I got sick, they have recommended the age for a colonoscopy at 45. So
there you go.
The numbers are up dramatically over the course of the last 10 years, and I think they're still trying to figure out what the hell is going on and why these numbers are going through the roof for young people too. I think from the ages of 18 to 42, the numbers are they're up 115%, and that's a scary thing. So we need to make sure that we're looking after ourselves, and make sure that you ask your physician to make sure when the time comes. If you have no family history, 45 is okay, but if it's in your family, like I have 4 kids, they're all going to have to get checked out 10 years prior to that age 45. So my oldest son is 31 now. He's going to have to make sure that he gets checked out, because he has a family member, obviously immediate, and his father, that's being me, that had stage 3 colon cancer. So we got to make sure we're taking care of ourselves.
We're talking with Eddie Olczyk, former NHL player. Obviously, you can catch him on NBC Sports. Good to catch up with you, Edzo. One of the things that is different this year for anybody watching sports and watching hockey is that your partner in crime, Doc Emrick, has retired.
My guy.
How is it different, or when did you realize he wasn't there? Because it had to be like having a line mate over the years that you don't know what you got till it's gone. Obviously, you're a professional, so you adjust. But what are some of the things that you miss? Maybe that you didn't realize initially, but since Doc's gone, retired.
Well, you know what, Darren? I think that, and I'm sure you lived it in your career, is that when you have a close friend that is a teammate and arguably one of the greatest of all time in any sport, I always kind of, when we are traveling, and we travel sometimes because of the world we're living in for our national games, but I always kind of take a quick look over my shoulder, wondering if Doc is going to walk into the booth and put the headset on one more time. I mean, look, I knew it was around the corner when Doc announced his retirement, but I didn't think it was like right on the doorstep of him retiring. And I'm happy for him and Joyce, his wife. I mean, two of the greatest people you ever want to be around to know, and very lucky and fortunate to have been his partner for 14 years at NBC. And I knew who Doc was, obviously, when I was playing, and anytime Doc was in the building or you heard Doc's voice, you knew it was a big hockey game. But we obviously did, our relationship grew, and there was a major trust factor that needed to be built up, and that certainly did. To be with him on the biggest stage every night was a thrill of mine, and to be with him and to see how he prepared and his love for the game and his passion for the game is really second to none. And I just feel very fortunate to have been on his line and him being the captain and kind of showing me the way, helped me become a better broadcaster, helped me become, Darren, a better person. And a lot of people ask me about the stories with Doc and kind of when did you think that you arrived. And I think it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago where, somebody was, asking me about Doc and, when did you think you got his stamp of approval? And I said, you know what? I think I got the stamp of approval when Doc had mentioned to somebody about our relationship. And this is Doc talking. Doc said, I'm not quite quoting him verbatim, but he said, I hope when Edzo is 65, he has somebody take care of him as he is taking care of me. And like that to me was, okay, I arrived. I'm up on that pedestal with the great Doc Emrick, and we talk all the time, we text all the time. We were texting yesterday, during the trade deadline and everything that was going on in the National Hockey League. So I miss him a lot, Darren. I do. I like I said, it's not the same, but as Doc would want, and he is encouraged to say we got to forge ahead and carry his name and his legacy. He's still working, but we miss him a lot, and it's going to be different. This year for the Stanley Cup Final. I mean, we've been hearing Doc for how many years call the biggest game. This will be the first year, and I'm going to say probably 25 years that Doc Emrick isn't calling a Stanley Cup Final.
No doubt, Eddie, and a good friend of mine and ours here in Michigan. He doesn't live very far from where we are right now. Love the guy. Always left me a pair of tickets in Jersey when I was in there to see the Devils. The only black mark on your career to me is you winning the cup with that damn 1994 Rangers team. You beat Doc's and my team. You beat our Devils.
Well, you know what? Considering I'm a Cubs fan, and my favorite team, it took my favorite team 108 years to win a World Series. It only took the Rangers, and I was a very small part of the team in '94, by the way. It only took us 54 years.
I know, 1940,
baby. Exactly half the time that it took for the Cubs to win a World Series.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, look at Darren. You know this. I mean, it's the highlight of. I would like to think, anyways. I should say. I can't speak for anybody else, but it's the highlight of a player's career or coach or anybody part of the organization. The trainers are a lifeline of a hockey player. They're the most overworked and underpaid people in our game, and to see them enjoy the excitement of winning the greatest trophy in the world was unbelievable. And look, I had played 10 years in the league. I got to the conference finals my rookie year in Chicago, where we were 2 wins away against the Edmonton Oilers of going to the Stanley Cup Final in '85. And unfortunately for us, the Oilers were right in the middle of their heyday there with with Gretz and Koff and Curry and Mess and Fuhr and Lowe and all those guys. And I never got any farther until I got to that opportunity with the Rangers in '94. So very thankful to have won the Stanley Cup at least one time, and something I'll never forget.
Hey, that was nice of you, Edzo. This is a little subtle backhand to all us Lions fans here in Detroit that haven't had one playoff victory since we've been born.
Since '57.
Right. So that was nicely played. I know because our first cup was 42 years and growing up as a Wings fan. Let's talk about yesterday in the NHL trade deadline, and obviously the big move around the league was Anthony Mantha going to the Washington Capitals. Now, 99% of everybody here is ecstatic in Detroit, not because they didn't appreciate Mantha, but for the haul that we got in return. two things is like, are we seeing this in Detroit as you guys are nationally? And give us a little bit about what the Wings fans can expect from Jacob Vrana.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot there, Darren. I think first off, when I first heard the trade, I think I just caught wind of it of Richard Panik and Jacob Vrana and a draft pick. And I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. I mean, I knew Mantha had, look at, these are my words, nobody else's. I mean, I think he's underachieved since he's been a Detroit Red Wing. And then I started hearing it was a second round pick, and I was like, wow, that's a pretty, that's a pretty good haul there. And again, I figured money and salary cap, and I was thinking, this is a real hockey trade that we don't get a lot of because of the world we're living in. And then I started reading the World Wide Web there, and then seeing the full disclosure of the trade, and I was like, really?
Yeah,
like,
I was too, bro.
Jacob Vrana, a first, a second, and Richard Panik. I mean, look, he's a fourth line guy. He's going to get, 8 to 10 goals a year. He's fine. But I was like, wow, that's a huge move, and certainly knowing the direction that Stevie Y is putting, the Red Wings in the franchise and making a move like this. Look at, I think it'll be really interesting to see if Mantha can fit in and play the way that the Washington Capitals like to play. Peter Laviolette likes to push the pace. Obviously, they got great skilled guys there, and he's a big body, and if he ever learns he needs to play inside the dots and just hang around the net every once in a while, the guy's going to score 25, 30 goals without sweating. I mean, you just go to the front of the net and just hang around, you're going to score a goal. As far as Jacob Vrana, Darren, he's a highly skilled offensive guy that was playing second fiddle to some pretty good players there, and he wasn't getting first power play, not much anyways. When there were some injuries, he would play the first power play, and I've done probably 50 Washington Capital games over the course of the last couple of years. But Vrana is skilled. He can skate. He can make plays. I think Blash and his staff will find time for him on the number one power play.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy that can score. I really believe. I think he's a guy that can score 25 goals every year. And people may say, well, 25. I mean, you know what? Score 25 goals in the National Hockey League is pretty damn good. So I think I like the trade. I like the risk on the capital side as far as bringing in a guy like Mantha who is underachieved. But I see the direction that Stevie's going there in Detroit, and I love it from the Detroit perspective. So it'll be a lot of fun to see how this thing plays out. But Vrana can play. He's got some skill, and we'll see how it all plays out here over the next next year, 2 years, 3 years. That's when this trade will really get a grade. Is how do the big players play, and then what does Stevie do with those first and second round draft picks moving forward?
Eddie, what's the word around town? I mean, here in Michigan, we don't have any patience. We want the Wings to be the old Wings. We want to go back to the old Joe Louis Arena and kick ass again. But what's the word around town about the winged wheel going forward with our guys Steve Yzerman and Chris Draper helping them out?
Yeah. I think the understanding of knowing where the Wings were, where they are, and where they're trying to get to. And, some people may say that might be a pretty good philosophy in life, wherever you are in the totem pole of life. But, for me, it's they are in a rebuild, and they're probably a couple of more years away from making the playoffs. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think, and full disclosure here, Jeff Blashill is a very close friend of mine. I've known him forever. I believe that, how do you judge a coach? And I lived what Blash is living in Detroit when I coached in Pittsburgh back in the early 2000s, where I took over a team that, quite frankly, I mean, I didn't have a Dylan Larkin or Tyler Bertuzzi or Philip Hronek. I didn't have any of those type of guys. I took a team that had minus those guys, and we were rebuilding. Like we blew it up, and it's not easy. And look at, I was playing 5-card stud with 3 cards every single night. And I think to a certain extent, that's what Blash is living, and a couple other teams in the league that have, gone in a rebuild. But how are the coaches going to be evaluated? How will these players be evaluated? Are they improving? Is Dylan Larkin improved? Is Tyler Bertuzzi improved? I think the jury's still out on a guy like Anthony Mantha. Now he was out, but I don't think there's any doubt he never really hit whatever ceiling that maybe people thought he would. The team competes. They play hard. They've gotten some goaltending this year, which has been great to see, because the last little while, I think it's been a battle. But I think people look at the Red Wings and go, they trust what Stevie's doing. They know what he did in Tampa. You got to have patience. I certainly think he's going to do that. Darren, you know him better than anybody, and I think he's got a plan. He's going to stick to it. And at some point, right, as a fan base, you're going to want your GM and your organization to say, okay, enough of the rebuild here. We got to start trying to make a run at the playoffs. We got to be within, 8 or 10 points to just give our fan base a taste, because look, it comes down to selling tickets and getting people in the building. And yes, I know the world we're living in with COVID, but I think around the league, I think most people really like the direction that they're going. But do they have that guy to build around? Like, is Dylan Larkin that guy? Is he that superstar player that can make everybody around him better? Can they have people gravitate towards him? Can he be the centerpiece in 3 or 5 years from now when the Red Wings are battling for a Stanley Cup? I think the question is out on that. I love Dylan Larkin. I think he'd be an incredible number 2 center iceman on any team in the National Hockey League. Can he be number 1? Yeah, I think he can. Does he have the skill level to be that type of player? I'm not so sure right now, but look, get better players around him. Maybe he goes from being a 55 to 65 point consistent guy to a guy that gets 85 and 90 points. So a lot of questions, but I think nationally, I think most people, and I would only speak for myself, is that I like the vision that Stevie has. And for Red Wing fans, you're just going to have maybe just a little bit more patience over the next couple of years.
Ed Olczyk is joining us here on The Hook. You can follow him on social media at EdZO16, Edzo16. Ed, you're getting a lot of love on our social media across the board. Richard said, loved Ed with the Leafs. Janice, she put up the middle finger and then cancer next to it. Lots of love and support for you. But Nick said, I need Preakness predictions for all races from Eddie. My notepad is ready. I know. He wants everything. He wants Preakness.
Just bet Brad Cox.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I'm having enough trouble with like the third race at Parks today outside Philadelphia, let alone what's going to happen in about 6 weeks in Baltimore for the Preakness. I would say this year for the Derby, which happens to be the first Saturday in May this year, which happens
thankfully
to be May 1st. Yeah, exactly. So there's a horse that I've been watching, and there is a hockey tie here, which is kind of interesting. Vinny Viola and his wife Teresa. Yeah, get your crayons out there.
We got him.
So about, I don't know, say 4 months ago, Vinny and Teresa Viola, the owners of the Florida Panthers, they're big into horses. They won the Breeders' Cup a couple of years ago. They won the Derby a couple of years ago with Always Dreaming. But they have a name of a horse named Known Agenda. Known Agenda that just happened to win the Florida Derby a couple of weeks ago. And I think with the way the race is, with Todd Pletcher, the trainer, has won the Derby 2 different times. With the way this race is setting up, if the Derby was tomorrow, Eddie Olczyk's Express Bet account would be getting a workout because I would be, hey Darren, I would be both hands in on Known Agenda. So I think the race sets up extremely well.
Okay.
Still a couple of weeks to go, but Known Agenda would be the pick. But of course, you got to tune in because I get one final say on NBC when I'm working the Triple Crown on the first Saturday in May. So Known Agenda, keep an eye on that horse.
Hey, it's been Bob Bafford's parade all these years. Yeah. Let's face it. I like this Brad Cox kid. I mean, this guy, and he brings essential quality, who's right now the chalk, 4-1. If you get 4-1 on him, I'll take 4-1 all day on him.
Yeah, I think the favorite, essential quality, unbeaten in his career, win the Bluegrass the other day. 4-1. Maybe a little bit lower than that, Maz. I think maybe 7-2, and I think that he will be the favorite. But look at when you have a race that you can make a case for 5 or 6 or 7 horses. Why not take a shot? And you can box them up. You can play an exacta. You can play a trifecta. Try to get the exact order, and you don't have to invest a whole heck of a lot either. I mean, you could throw a couple of numbers in there, and all of a sudden you invest $12, and the $12 turns into about $800 or $900. That's a pretty good ROI, and I think most investment people would take an investment of how many percent is that? Is that like about 6,000% in a matter of about 2 minutes and 20 seconds? So I think we would all take that. Would take that every day of the week.
All right, while we got you on the horn here,
We're all counting on you, Eddie.
I know, Eddie. I'm going to switch back. I'm going to give you a last hockey question. Give me your final. Who's going to play in the final?
My final. Well,
Who's
full
gonna be in the-
disclosure. Full disclosure, and Darren, I'm glad you're about 800,000 arms away from me when I say this. I picked the Colorado Avalanche to win the Stanley Cup this year. I saw them play in the bubble last year, and they were banged up. And they've improved they're pretty good. That's not saying anything that they're probably the favorite. The last time I saw the odds for winning the Stanley Cup, along with Tampa and Vegas, but Colorado to me is, I think they're the real deal. A lot of people question their goaltending, but when you have the puck, that's the best defense in the world. They seem to have the puck all the time. So if they can limit to 20, 25 shots a game, I think it's going to be really difficult. Healthy, if they can stay healthy, I think that they're the team to beat. Again, now remember, we got the Northern Division, we got the East, we got the Central, we got the West. Everything's all different now. So, Colorado's going to have to play, I think, all due respect to St. Louis, Colorado and Vegas probably going to have to play each other to get out of there and then get to the Final Four, and then who knows from there. I mean, it's absolutely wide open. But I would look at Tampa and Carolina to be one of those two teams. Out of everybody else I've seen around the league, I would say it's either Tampa or Carolina that finds a way to get to the Cup Final, and that would be one hell of a Cup Final because all three of those teams, as you all know, they like to push the pace.
They do.
They like to get their defensemen involved, and if we're lucky, maybe we have some 5-4, 6-5 Stanley Cup Final games, but a lot of hockey to be played. So I'm going to go three teams. I'm going to go Colorado, I'm going to go Tampa, and Carolina in some form or fashion, with Colorado playing one of those two teams in the Stanley Cup Final.
Well, Eddie, I got no problem with that. Patrick Waugh is not involved in that organization anymore. He's really the only guy I don't get along with. Me and Lemieux were good. That's a Joe Sakic run team, Steve Eisman and I used to stare at him when we were on the bench, and because that's my favorite player, Sakic. And how can you not like McKinnon, Rantanen, Landeskog? Like you said, today's NHL, I wouldn't be too upset again, but. You know me, Eddie, I got 4, so I can't be greedy and stuff. But what is the one thing, and I want to ask you this to take it back around to your last 4 years, but the one thing as Ed Olczyk sits here and we're talking hockey and stuff, but back to life is that, what are you grateful for today, Ed?
Wow. I don't want to say I get that question a lot, Darren, but like people ask me, and I think it's probably, and you tell me if I'm wrong, is that people like do you look at life differently now after having gone through removing a tumor the size of my fist and having 6 months of hell and not knowing what was on the other side after taking the chemo every 2 weeks for 48 hours, and I would honestly say that what having gone through stage 3 colon cancer has done for me and for my family is that it reassured me that I was in a pretty good place before I got sick than when I was going through my battle and where I am now. And if I can, I'd like to explain that is that, look, when I was sick, I was scared. I didn't want to die. I didn't want to leave my family. And my son was on the verge of getting married. And, you think the worst. That was what was happening for me. And when I was going through it, even though I was scared and hurting and frustrated and mad, I always lived my life, and I don't know where I learned this, but I always let the most important people in my life know how I felt about them. And I'd always tell my wife of almost 33 years, I would tell my kids, we all have a circle. But I always let them know that I just want you to know, and I need you to know that my life has been better with you in it. My life has been complete because of what we have had as a family and as friends. And, Doc is certainly in this conversation. But I would always let people know that, hey, God forbid, if something would happen to me, I want you to know, I need you to know that I love you, and my life has been complete with you in it. And everybody would say the same thing all the time. Stop talking like that. Nothing's going to happen, all that kind of stuff. But when I was sick and I was going through it, even though I was scared and hurt and mad and angry, I was very much at peace. And if it was my time, at least I could close my eyes and close my eyes and know that, hey, I lived a full life. The most important people knew how I feel about them, and that made me feel good. Like I had peace when I was going through my most difficult challenge in my life, and that's why I tell people, Darren, I just say, look at, even though all of those emotions were there, I was very much at peace, and I honestly don't look at things differently. Like, look at sitting in traffic now doesn't bother me as much. If I lose a couple $100 at the racetrack, not a big deal. If my son comes home late one night, not a big deal. And I think those little, I don't want to say petty things, but smaller things. But that was me. I just, like I said, I was at peace when I was going through, and I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to die, but I think that helped me get through. And I would encourage anybody out there, because look, we're all day to day in the big picture. I don't care what anybody says. Like we're all day to day. We just don't know when that time is up. And make sure that you let the most important people in your life know how you feel about them, because as I told one of my best friends, I said, you know what? No pun intended here, but it would really kill me if I wasn't around and you didn't know how I felt about it. And that's kind of how I got through, Darren. And I know it's long-winded, but hopefully I answered your question.
No, you absolutely did, Edzo, and I appreciate, because at the end of the day, that's what life's all about. Obviously, what you do is not who you are, and the fact that I love the fact that you're open about it, and knowing you personally and stuff like that, you've been an inspiration to a lot of people, myself included. And it's great to be able to touch. Yeah, it's great to hopefully pick the horse and the trade works out. But at the end of the day, if you love somebody, make sure you let them know how they feel.
But pick a winner too.
But pick a winner too. Yeah, don't forget that. Second.
No. Yeah, our social media is very much loving your story. You're getting a lot of love and support, saying you've got an amazing attitude. This is all great advice. Thanks for sharing. Our social media is very much showing you a lot of support right now,
Thanks,
Eddie. But Eddie, before we let you go,
can I jump in real quick? I have to say this though, and I think it can change. It'll change in a heartbeat when I say this, of course, because I'm going to have some fun here. People might not remember, I did play for the Blackhawks for a bunch of years.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, but you never beat us, Eddie, so they're not mad at you. They waited till I retired to beat you. We took Chelly, all this stuff, dude. We're like brothers, Detroit and Chicago.
Chicago? Who are they?
Yeah, not too many times. Not too many times I ever got recognition and applauded in the great city of Detroit and Red Wing fans. But I am thankful. I am thankful for that, and always enjoyed going to the Joe. I love the Joe. I said it. I talked about it in my book. I mean, I love playing in Joe Louis Arena. I had some of my, I don't know how, somehow I just had some of my best games of my career in Joe Louis Arena. Well before Darren was around, by the way, than Darren is. So, but I appreciate the love. So thank you very much to everybody out there.
Yeah.
Well, you feel it, Eddie. We love you.
And Eddie, real quick, before we let you go, I think we have the wrong social media for you. Are you on social media?
I am not, actually. That is my son.
Yes.
That's my
Okay.
oldest son.
I figured that out.
I did try social media a couple of years ago, and then real quick story. So I tried it for a year and a half. I enjoyed it. I like, communicating with fans. You always get people that sit there and, they give you an opinion, and a lot of it's not whatever. And I would kill them with kindness. If somebody told me, "Oh, Jack, you suck. I hate you. You're a homer," this and that. And I would just say, "Hey, have a great day. Thanks a lot." And then they didn't know how to come back at me. But I eventually just kind of gave it up. But the one time that kind of put me over the edge, I don't know who it was. I shouldn't say it was a guy. It was a person that texted or tweeted me and goes, "Last night in the game, you were horrible. You loved the Rangers. You didn't pick up." And I'm like, "What game are you talking about?" He goes, "It was the Rangers and Capitals game last night." I go, "Sir, I didn't do the game last night." He goes, "Oh, sorry."
Eddie, you got to get back on Twitter. We need you back on Twitter, at least for your picks, for crying out loud.
No. You know what I am doing, Darren? Are you doing any? I don't know if I should say this. I guess you guys got a dump button there, but are you doing like Cameo or Memo or anything?
Yeah, I've done them both.
Yeah.
I
just started doing that, and I don't know if I'm doing a good job or not. But I mean,
But
I'm
that's
trying to learn. So.
Yeah, the Cameo's actually out of Chicago, and I've been doing that. I was one of the original ones to start with them, but different platforms to be able to talk. The Memos is good because that's the one for Canada and Europe and stuff. But it's all about connecting and being able to reach out to different people. I mean, hey, Eddie, it works. I mean, I'm over. I'm almost 4,500 that I've done in the last 3 years.
But he only charges his number, 25 cents. That's all he charges.
Not true. Not true. But the thing, to your point, is it's the personality and it's the touch. And guys like you and I who like, to have that personal touch and give people that, because the best way to describe you, Edzo, is that you're exactly what you see on TV. What you see is what you get. Opinion, and that's right. You're going to kill them with kindness. But yeah, I'm enjoying doing that. I've been doing it for a while, and it's a great way for people to reach out. So connect with Ed Olczyk on Memo and Cameo.
There you go.
All right, Eddie, thanks
Ed.
so much for joining us. Come back anytime.
Thanks, bud.
Okay.
We love
Thanks
having
for
you.
having me. Appreciate it. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right, see you at the Derby.
All right, guys, when we come back, it is time for us to play our Get Home with Hall Financial Baseball Trivia. So dial it up, 313-552-6322. You're tuning into The Hook on Woodward Sports Network.